There's been a lot of excitement about the all-new 2021 Lexus IS300, and we're going to take it for a drive, and you're going to go with us. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lauren Fix. Today we're going to be driving the 2021 Lexus IS300. This is the all-wheel drive. It's also available in rear-wheel drive, and we'll tell you what the differences are. We're going to give you a comparison in performance, handling, safety, visibility, seating, technology, features, design, quality, and value. And in the end, we will give you a Car Coach Reports rating. Why this is so important is because we want you to know about this vehicle in different ways. So when you go to buy one, you don't have buyer's remorse, but you have to remember the sales guy's going to sell you on this vehicle. That's their job. We're going to give you information so you go in and buy the right vehicle. If this is your first time to the channel, we give you more than cool car reviews. We give you first looks at new vehicles as they hit the marketplace. We also give you information so you can have car smarts because we believe knowledge is power. Make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell so you don't miss anything. The 2021 Lexus IS300 has had a lot of excitement behind it. It comes in two forms. In the IS300, you get the rear-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive, and then there's the F Sport, which comes in a different setup because the suspension is different. So we're going to keep that as a separate review, and today we're just going to cover the IS300 all-wheel drive and give you some information on the rear-wheel drive so you have some information. Let's take it for a drive. Under the hood of the IS300 depends on which platform you get. The rear-wheel drive has a 2-liter engine with 241 horsepower. You go to all-wheel drive, you then have a 3.5-liter V6 with 260 horsepower, which is basically a detuned F Sport, which has 311 horsepower. Something to note, the 4-cylinder has more torque than the V6, so there is a trade-off there. One thing you'll also note is that the suspension here is not electronically controlled like it is in the F Sport, so you're not going to see a big variance in handling from the past generation. 0 to 60, 6.1 seconds in the 3.5-liter V6 engine. In the F Sport, it's 5.5 seconds. So as sports sedans go, this thing does okay. Fuel economy is going to make a big difference. 21 miles to the gallon in the city, 31 on the highway, 25 combined. Of course, it depends if you drive it in the sport mode, the normal, or the eco mode. Of course, I have to do it in the sport mode. So now we're going to get to see how this vehicle handles and performs in the rain. It is cold climate here in the Northeast. Performance of this IS300 has been pretty good all week. As far as a regular driver, something you could drive every day, it absolutely does perform. It is a touch better. Remember that there's more torque in that 4-cylinder, so if you're looking for a torquier vehicle, that may be your option because you buy horsepower and you drive torque, and that makes a big difference. So if you're looking at horsepower versus torque that get off the line, that's torque, and for performance, it earns an 8. When you're looking at handling and you're driving this vehicle daily, you really get a good feel of its connection to the road, and they've done a nice job with that. The brakes have been really nice and well balanced with the vehicle, and there's good traction and connection to the roadway. You feel like you are engaged. However, as a performance vehicle, this is not. It doesn't have that extra zip that the F Sport does, and that's why they separated the IS300 from the F Sport. That's where you're really going to have more horsepower, more performance, and better handling. 18-inch wheels are standard on the IS300. However, one thing to note, there is a second transfer case on this vehicle because it is all-wheel drive. And I did notice there's a bump next to my right leg that sort of gets in the way because although it's a nice little leg rest, it sort of feels like it shouldn't be there. But when you're building these vehicles in such a way as you do today, the limitation is the fact that there's not enough room to put all the goodies that you want in this vehicle, and so they had to put a bump on the driver's side here in North America. In countries where you drive on the right side, you won't get that bump. So if you're in Australia, the UK, you don't have to deal with it. You might also want to note that the F Sport has an active suspension and the IS300 does not. There are 3 drive modes: Eco, Normal, and Sport. Now we did our 0 to 60 launch in Sport, but as we drive here in this 35-mile-an-hour area and 40-mile-an-hour area, we have reduced to the Eco mode because we want to see how it drives in all modes, because this is how you're going to drive it. In an Eco mode, it's very fuel efficient and it just sips the gas, so it does a nice job. Moving it to a normal mode, it becomes a regular daily driver and you won't be disappointed. But then going into that sport mode, you get a little red bar between the bottom of the gauges and then you get just a little bit more spirit. It's not a lot more spirit, it's a little bit more spirit. When you're comparing the IS300 to the competitors in the class, you'll see that there are some variances, and I have to say that they've done a good job improving it, but I wish it had the active suspension that the F Sport has, but then again, you might as well buy an F Sport. But for handling of this IS300 all-wheel drive, it earns an 8. The Lexus Safe Systems 2.5 is an improvement. So you're getting a lot of these safety features, which is important because when you're driving any vehicle, obviously safety is a top consideration. The pre-collision warning and pedestrian cross-traffic alert is really helpful. Obviously, safety is a top feature in any vehicle that you would buy, and having a standard package of safety features really is a big improvement. In addition, you have lane departure warning and steering assist. I am not a fan of steering assist. I would rather pay attention to the roadway. And of course, if you drift out of the lane, it helps push you back. I find it too much of a nanny. I'm not sure how many people actually use it or shut it off. You can put that in the comments down below, because I think a lot of people shut off some of these nannies because they get to be frustrating. But this is a design getting us closer to autonomy. Right now, no one's beyond level 3, but still it's important to know these safety features are there to help you be safer on the road. One of the biggest features that I do like is the blind spot monitoring is a big safety feature, as well as the cross traffic alert. Now, if you're backing out of a parking space and someone's coming, and I did test this out, it does fair warn you that someone's coming. It does not tell you the direction they're coming, but it tells you to stop and be aware because there's something there. That is also a big asset. When it comes to safety, overall for the IS300, it earns a 9. Visibility is an important part of safety. It's actually sort of connected, because if you can't see where you're going, it's a safety issue. Overall, the windshield in the front is large. It's easy to see the ground because of the design of the vehicle. The sills on the side are a bit high, and that's fine, but looking out the back, you can see there are 3 headrests, and it's not that limiting. But when you put it in reverse, you get a really nice backup camera, but not an around view camera. And that's sort of important when you're looking at a vehicle in this price point. It would also be nice if you could press a button here and get a rear view camera. That is something a lot of manufacturers are starting to add in. When you're looking at visibility overall for this vehicle, it earns a 7. Part of the mid-cycle refresh is seating, and it is the most important factor of any vehicle because this is where you sit. And people may say, oh no, it's performance, it's looks. Yes, that is an important factor. But the longer you own this vehicle, you want to be comfortable in this seat, whether it's a long trip or a daily drive. If you're uncomfortable in the seat, you'll never love this car, and it will never get more comfortable as time goes on. With that thought in mind, Lexus has done a really nice job with 3-stage heated, 3-stage air-cooled seats, and of course there's a heated steering wheel, but there's no lumbar. It is a power seat, and there are some adjustments, but surprisingly it's only a few, and it's about a 6-way power seat, and it should have more adjustments. When you look at the competition and you're in that mid $40,000 range, most vehicles have at least lumbar and more adjustments. I know that some manufacturers have reduced the options on the passenger side by not having lumbar, which is not a very expensive item. I've been told it's around $40, but now they don't have it on the driver's side either. Although they're good-looking racing buckets, let's take a look at the second row and we'll give it a rating. Coming around to the second row, I set both seats for me, and I'm 5'8". There's plenty of knee room. There's also footwell room for your feet to go underneath. Now, from behind the center console, this is something for convenience of those in the second row. There is nothing more than 2 vents and a very large center hump, which is obviously for the driveline. When you're looking at the door panel itself, it's a little bit on the harder side. Considering it's a Lexus, it should be just a bit softer. And then they made the speakers in the same interior trim color, so it kind of looks cheesy, I hate to put it that way. But you can write in the comments below what you think. In addition, there is no storage in the back seat other than these pockets. There is no cup holders. There's nothing other than a grip, a window lift, and a door handle. And although it is a driving machine, I get it. If you're going to use this as a daily driver, whoever sits back here may have a bottle of water, juice box, or whatever that might be. So you would think they would put it in the center console. But they didn't, and there's no pass-through either. So this sort of limits the storage for those people sitting in the second row, and there's no place to charge unless you want to run a cord up to the front. When you're looking at seating overall, I like the fact that it's heated and air-cooled, really nice in 3 stages, but the lumbar is missing on both sides. And after driving this vehicle for a week, I found the seats to be pretty much uncomfortable. Initially, they felt good, but then after driving them a few miles, I really didn't like the seats. They look amazing, but they need to have lumbar on both sides. Although the design is great, It earns a seating comfort of 6. Taking a look at technology, the standard screen is 8 inches. This is a 10.2-inch screen, and thankfully they now have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There is a mouse that you can use. That is right here. I'm not really the biggest fan of this mouse, but they're starting to use it on a lot of different vehicles, and it's getting to be pretty intuitive. I still think it's very dated, but one thing they have done now is they have changed it to a touch screen. Thank you, that is much appreciated. And when you go to the menu, you can see they have different information, including the apps. I think the apps is important, whether you touch it with your finger or you use the mouse. You get the N-Form app suite. So it does have some additional information, and you can do a split screen, which I think they've done a nice job. You press this button down here, it becomes a single screen, and you can press the menu button and see that they also have projection, information setup, and you can still use this little mouse, which is nice. Makes it a little bit easier, and this gives you infotainment, and there's an update involved. Looking at the navigation screen, it is a little bit better than it has been in the past. It shows traffic and it's got great information. Again, if you prefer a split screen, you can just do that. It can give you information which you can change by pressing the arrows here. Very easy to use, gives your history, and then of course you can make the changes to navigation, music, your fuel economy, also your climate control, which you can also use further down. You can see I have it cranked because it's like 30 degrees outside. It's absolutely freezing. But this allows you different options. So you can also use the climate control here. When you're looking at technology in the center screen between the gauges, you can see this is a tachometer and the speedometer. This little screen is controlled by this button. Very easy to use, very intuitive, has multiple uses. But one of the things I find a little bit frustrating is it's still very dated looking. I am surprised, actually. I mean, yeah, it's got great information that you can use, but overall, you know, it's just limiting. And surprisingly, the screen coloration is pretty much black and white. When you're looking at an overall technology package for this vehicle, although there are some improvements, it earns a 7. There are a lot of features in the Lexus IS300. You've got the standard controls here for your volume and your audio system and your phone. And then on this side, this controls the center screen that we discussed in technology. And then of course you can change the pages on this and go back. And this gives you a lot of basic information on safety. This is distance control and lane change departure. Behind this is these cool little paddle shifts. There's minus and plus, side by side. Pretty simple, nice size paddle shifters. Going further in front of you, you've got your standard gauges, the real gauges. This I do appreciate in reality, because as vehicles get older, sometimes those digital screens don't work, and that's why it's really nice to have actual gauges. Looking over on the left side of the steering wheel, you've got your standard controls, and of course your air cooling vents, and you can also see that you've got your odometer and the ability to put that screen up and back, which can limit visibility. Of course, you may want that, and your controls for your trunk and your hood. I do like the start-stop button being right here and easy to find, and then this really nice 10.8-inch screen, which is a big improvement. The fact that it's a touch screen is much appreciated. I do like this clock. I think they've done a nice job trying to make it really nice and classy, and that they've done with the polished silver, really nicely done. Climate control is a bit dated looking, but overall it's very easy to use, very intuitive. You slide your finger up and down for the temperature. The beeps are a bit frustrating at times, but you can shut a lot of that stuff off in the settings, of course. Going further down, you've got your audio system with a CD player. Not too many people have CD players any longer. This is a Mark Levinson audio system, so it is quite premium, and I do love the audio system on this car. By the way, the Mark Levinson audio system is a 17-speaker, 1,800 watts of premium surround sound audio system, and they have done a great job on their audio system. Looking further down in front of the Prindle, you've got your heated seats, your air-cooled seats, 3-staged, and a heated steering wheel, which is much appreciated. Do like the fact that they've stuck with a regular shifter that has park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then manual if you really want to have a more spirited ride. Over on the right side, as we discussed in handling, you've got your eco, your normal, and your sport mode, and a snow mode because it's all-wheel drive. Further back, you've got your mouse pad. This is what we were talking about earlier. You can press the map at any time, the menu, or go back. And this mouse pad is intuitive. It's really frustrating at times and distracting. And of course, you've got your 2 cup holders, which, hold normal bottles. Going into the glove box, you've got 2 USBs to connect and a regular 12-volt outlet. In the back seat, there is no accessories, no cup holders, no storage in the doors, just 2 pockets. They've done a nice job making this vehicle really pretty. I do like the color combinations, and the soft materials are not that soft. And kind of surprised, they are pebbled, so it's good so there's no glare. There's also a manual cover for the sunroof and some pretty basic features of things that you would want to use every day. Overall, for features, it's enough to keep you happy, it's got all the basics that you would need, and it earns an 8. The design of the IS300 is a mid-cycle refresh, and there have been some changes starting with this spindle-style grille and the large Lexus logo. This is one huge grille, and it's not all functional. There is a band in the middle, obviously that's part of the safety features, but there is ventilation here and here, and you do need to keep these vehicles running cool. One big change, and I really love these LED check mark, the LED lights, very stylized, very sporty, and this vehicle's coming at you by these cool check marks that run on each side. The IS300 runs on all-season 18-inch wheels. The F-Sport has a larger wheel, it's a 19-inch. I think it'd be nicer to have a larger wheel. It does feel the wheelhouse up really nicely though. Going further back on the side of the car, the side view mirror is pretty standard. On the F-Sport, it is different. It has to do with aerodynamics. Very sleek looking car. I like how it's very aerodynamic and very functional. As you work your way around to the back, the rear does not have a spoiler like the F-Sport does. I kind of wish it did, although it is a little bit more aggressive. And one other thing to note is the LED taillights, and then they connected it with another set of LED lights, so it really stood out. It was a very distinctive light signature. IS300, your all-wheel drive, and then down here is a matte black rear valance and your exhaust. Looks pretty good. Overall, for design, it earns a 9. When you're looking at the quality of the Lexus product, you're getting a premium quality built here in the USA. Their paint quality is much improved over the years, and they've done a great job upgrading the interior as well, adding in that Apple CarPlay, that Android Auto, and getting rid of that ancient Entune system that really was kind of frustrating to use. It's still a bit distracting, but overall, when you're looking at a vehicle with this type of quality of materials, fit and finish, good warranty, longevity, and low maintenance, for quality, it earns a 10. Coming around to the back of this Lexus IS300, there's 10.8 cubic feet of storage. It's not a huge trunk. You can fold the seats down in the second row to get even more storage. And then underneath this little cover is a mini spare, which is good because I like to have a spare tire in case you get stuck. Overall, when you're looking at the trunk space and a starting price of $39,900, once you add on the goodies, the all-wheel drive, it can get a little bit more expensive. There is a lot of competitors in this category. And when you're even looking at things like Genesis and also other brands, which will have a list of competitors down below, you can see that there's a lot of car here for the value. It is a mid-cycle refresh, and we expect some changes beyond this year into 2022 and so forth, because we don't know when they're going to actually do the full change. This is a big improvement, don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of the F-Sport, so you'll have to check that out once we get our hands on one of them. But right now, this is a really hot and exciting vehicle, and there's plenty of competition. I do suggest that you look at the price point on this, add in all your options, and compare it to the competition to see how it actually plays out. And before you make a decision on value for you, when you're looking at the total of the 2021 Lexus IS300, the all-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive, it earns an 8. Lexus has made some great improvements for 2021. Although this is a mid-cycle refresh, there's a definite distinction between the F-Sport and the regular IS300. I do like the all-wheel drive. I think it makes the most sense. You get all wheels driven, and if you're looking for a little bit of performance fun, this vehicle has it. Keep in mind, although the performance is improved, the 4-cylinder and the 6-cylinder have a slight difference in performance, and the handling is a little bit better. The handling is best in the F-Sport, but the price also goes up with that. Looking at all 10 categories, there are a few areas that it's lacking, but when you compare it to its competitors, it really does shine. I think you should take one for a test drive and get a good feel for yourself. Lexus has always put together a very top quality vehicle, and people that own them are extremely loyal. But there's so much competition, and you'll have to make a decision yourself on what meets your budget and what meets your insurance rates. So for a total score in all 10 categories, the 2021 Lexus IS300 earns an 80. We covered a lot of area here on the IS300. And although I may not have answered every specific question you have, if I didn't, put it in the comments down below. I will get you an answer. Check out our website, Car Coach Reports, in English and in Spanish. We have covered the F Sport and other vehicles that may interest you, as well as more car smarts information. If you got value from this video, make sure to give it a like and a share. Don't forget to comment when you want to start that conversation so that you get the right vehicle. Follow me on all forms of social media at Lauren Fix, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.